This is actually going to be in several parts. I do apologize. This is the 74 Chevy. The previous video, I was just planning on doing an intake swap and a carburetor, cleaning it up a little bit, backyard paint job. We've got a big shop out at my parents' place where we do most of our work on classic cars. I got this one at the house, something I can off and on, just, you know, come out. I recently had some skin cancer removed, so I'm kind of somewhat stuck at home for a few days here. Not supposed to be doing this kind of stuff, but when it's what you love, nothing stops you. But I wanted to kind of update everybody. You know, probably should have just pulled the motor and built it. You know, it just runs too good. And, you know, I just took the water pump off this truck. It was a GM water pump. I'm curious to see what that timing chain says. The valve covers are coming off. I'm wondering if I got what heads I got on. So that'll all come next. So we're going to call this part 1.5 because I am going to put a cam in it. And a lot of people have problems putting cams in these in the truck. So I might try to video that a little bit somewhat. You know, the biggest problem with putting cams in these is by the time, if you don't have the heads off and you can't get in there and lube the races on your cam before you put them in the bearing, by the time you get past the second one, it's done wiped the first one. And when you go on it, it just wipes it off. So by the time you get back there, there's nothing on it, guys. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Put one in and pull it back out and fill the back of it. You know, without pulling the heads and everything, you can't really get a good eyeball on the old cam bearings and stuff. But I had good oil pressure, so, and I had no lower engine noise. So I'm going to go ahead and risk it and throw a cam in it. Like I said, this motor is going to be coming out eventually. You know, a lot of people might look at that as wasting money. But it's not, because when I build it, you know, a cam's not that much money. You know, they can put another one in it. But I want to tell you what happens to these old motors. This truck's set forever. You get them, the first thing everybody wants to do is change oil on them. New oil wipes these old cams out. Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I had it happen to a truck that only had 27,000 original miles on it. The truck ran fine for about 3 months. And she started popping through the carb and stuff, and you can blame that on the dry start, you can blame it on whatever you want, but no matter what, I always pull the spark plugs out and I'll hose the cylinders down with some WD-40 real good, disconnect your ignition, have all the plugs out of it, just take the starter and just roll it over. It don't hurt to do it by hand a couple times in case you do have a rust ring inside your cylinders. Kind of maybe get a bore scope down in there and look. If you see a lot of junk, you know, you're going to ruin the motor. Well, you're not going to ruin it, but you're definitely going to do some damage to it by firing it. So it's just one of those things, you know, you just do it. These old small blocks take a lot. But I like to take the plugs out of it. It makes the motor whirl over a lot easier. And while you're rolling on that thing, it really actually builds your oil pressure up, no matter what anybody says. If you put all your plugs in, it's going to slow your crank down a little bit. So if they're out, it's going to roll over real fast, and it'll roll over actually fast enough to pre-lube the engine to some extent. So you just do the best you can do with these cams. Obviously, you got to have plenty of room in here. This thing has a transmission cooler in it. I'm going to be doing away with that. I don't run these trucks hard. You know, I'm sure it's going to get a few burnouts and stuff, but I'm not going to be pulling trailers with it. I'm not going to be going to Florida in it and pulling a bunch of hills. So I just don't want it in there. It's probably got a bunch of junk in it. Whenever I have the transmission rebuilt, I might put a modern style cooler in it that's smaller, they're more efficient, they got a filter, stuff like that. But I'm probably just going to do away with this big old bulky cooler they rigged in here. It looks like crap, and it's preventing you from being able to clean up the radiator support and stuff. But yeah, it was going to be a simple carburetor intake job, and now I'm just going to go ahead and timing chain it. Cam, the valve covers I'm going to leave. I like the original valve covers. I'm going to leave them. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to drill my air filter and put a receiver on it so I could run a hose up in it for your PVC on that side for your ventilation. The PCV valve will go in this side, probably right into the carburetor on the new intake, I think is where they go. You just put them right in the bottom of the carburetor, so that changes things a little bit. I like to go ahead and tape everything up, even though I'm coming apart with this and the intake's not going to be, you know, put back on it. I still want to tape all that up and keep anything from out of that motor that I can. And before I go doing too much to the engine as far as scraping and painting on it and stuff like that, I'm going to go ahead and do the timing chains, the cam, put the front cover back on it, and then I'll just tape this the valley off, and I'll go ahead and give her a little backyard, you know, quickie, you know, and then the valve covers will get painted off of the truck. I got an old set of valve covers I'll probably throw on it just to kind of get some paint around there without getting it all over the valve spring and stuff. I don't like doing that. It don't hurt to get a little bit on anything. But yeah, so yeah, it's turned into quite a project here. I mean, this morning I haven't done much to it today because I got a big old spot on my nose, as you can see. Yeah, I know, disgusting. But I haven't really done nothing too much to it this morning because, man, I just about said, you know, hook the trailer up, let's take it to the shop, let's get the motor out of it. But summertime's here and I want to drive it. You know, I like driving them. So I'll go ahead and do a little walk around on it. 74. I am the second owner of this truck, and I do have proof of that. I primered it. It was a quick primer job just to get it through winter. It was going to be sitting outside. But as you can see, the old truck's not bad. Got one tear in the seat here. You know, it's not bad. So yeah, I mean, if you just look in here at the brake pedal, it's got some wear on it. I don't think it's got 113,177 miles of wear over the gas pedal. So, from what I understand, this guy had this thing hooked up to pull his boat with, and that's all he did was haul his boat 3 miles, 4 miles down the road from where he lived at. And he had a camper shell on it. Sorry about the change in the floorboard. That slid out of that on first burnout. But I mean, it's not bad. It's better than you find them in Ohio, I can tell you that. Give you a little scoop of the bed here. Frame, literally, once you get the bed off of it, get the cab jacked up off of it, I can pressure wash this frame and paint it. It's not rusted. It's not bad at all. North Carolina, Virginia, that's the places to go. As you can see, I'm getting some rust back here, which I expected that. None of this has been treated yet. This bed's coming off, getting completely done. But as you can see, she's definitely showing rust, but there's no flakes on that. There's no it's not generally corroded. You have two different types of corrosion: localized corrosion and general corrosion. General corrosion would be large sections or the whole frame rusted out. Localized would be one area, like your shock towers or your spring mounts. None of that's bad. This thing is in great shape. It's unbelievable. But it's going to get all that, but I want to get it running decent. A little cam in it. Get her pound the pavement, and then we'll reassess the situation, see what we want to do next. So I'll do another video here. My other camera that I normally use, I could have put all this together and sent it all at once, but it's not working right now, so I might have to get a new one. Yeah, I'll spruce some of this stuff up a little bit, clean it up, you know. Right now I'm getting all my numbers off of it just to make sure it's a numbers matching truck. It's supposed to be. But I'm going to get these numbers off, the back numbers, VIN number, match everything up. These blocks would set in a factory, and when they put them in something, whatever they put them in, they would come in and stamp it. So that stamp is going to match with the VIN number in some way, shape, or form. And then this here was your KO517 TMM. So I got to look all that up. I used to know a lot more about these numbers, but in my older days I forgot a lot. Ain't no doubt about it. They're a pain in the butt to keep track of them anyway, the way GM did it. They don't really have like a search engine where you can go on a website and just enter a number and it tell you what you need to know. You really have to break it down. I'm hoping to just reuse this throttle bracket on the Performer intake that I got, the Elderbrock, clean it up, put the squirt bomb to it a little bit. I'm hoping to reuse that. If anybody don't think that'll work before I get any further, you know, email me or something. My email is larrycaldwell44@yahoo.com, all lowercase letters. I'm curious if it'll work. I know that this one mounts. There's one spot I'm not going to be able to get a mount to, but I still think I can make it work. I just like leaving them as original as possible. I hate doing this swap, but I couldn't find a 4-barrel intake locally that was in good shape, that didn't need to be sent and be cleaned, so I just bought an aluminum one. I'd rather just kept the steel intake, put a 4-barrel intake on it. Everybody throws an adapter plate on these. If there's a 4-barrel on it, it's never going to run right. I don't care what anybody says. You're never going to get the power you should have. The 4-barrel's not going to work the way it should work. You're just not getting enough. You know, it's like sucking a straw. You know, you're not going to get enough. But one thing I did notice is once I got my, and I put the distributor in this when I got it, once I got my number 1 up, top dead center on the compression stroke, my balancer didn't line up. I went around with this thing 15 times, and what I have determined is two things have happened here. Either the keyway and the crank is gone and the balancer rotated, which I highly doubt that, or this rubber back in here has come unglued and this balancer sliding off. You know, I can't really move around on it a lot, but I don't remember seeing that much of this rubber in there. And if you did, it'd be corroded up a lot more. So I think this balancer slid. So I'm going to replace it. Anyway, to be continued. Thanks for watching.